We are going live. Welcome to another Friday night live stream. This one is a special edition, as we'll say. This time you have Roy up on the shelf up here, and I get to be the star of the show, I suppose we'll say. So tonight we'll be doing a bit of enameling, as you've probably seen in the live stream titling and the thumbnail. And so I have a couple of different projects planned out, and so you guys can see a few of the processes that way. But Roy, do we have anybody in the chat?
We have a whole bunch of people in the chat, Jess. All the regular faces. We have Ben Illingworth, OK Bushcraft, Jason's Forge, Forge Flames and Games, Charming Hollow Forge, of course. Champ Ironworks is in the house, Bob Young, Corey Shire, and a whole bunch. Wiley Archangel Craftworks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Friday Night Live. So you guys are going to have to put up with me being behind the camera. So forgive me if I'm a little on the slow and the daft side on this end. I can already say from the 2 days that we have spent practicing this stream, yeah, Jessica's got a lot harder job than I do. All I got to do is swing a hammer like a big monkey, holding a stick and a rock, and she has all of this octopus woman things to do. So welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. We feel blessed to have you here. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jessica, and she'll be letting you all know what we are doing this evening.
Yes, where to begin? Got all my stuff laid out here. Normally I have my things in plastic totes and I keep them up on the shelf there, so I tried to bring everything down within reachable level so I will be able to have that nice and in view for you all. So tonight I'm going to be working on a couple of magnets, and Roy, if you want to go over to camera 2. These are some copper blanks I purchased online, and just makes it easier. I mean, you can cut these out by hand, and I'm not sure what gauge they are, but they're pretty thin. But they'll work for the purpose, and so I've got a couple of them set out here, and these could be used for like pendants as well. So those are the blanks I'll be using, and I also have an assortment of enamels. This one will be red. It is opaque flame red, and this is what it looks like. It's about the consistency of powdered sugar, and it'll get sifted on with a sifter. And then also we have goldenrod yellow. And if you've seen the necklace pendants, or well, rather the keychains I did with our logo on them, these are the same colors I used there. So they kind of just make really good forge colors. So I'm just kind of sticking with those mostly in the projects today. And also we'll be using flame orange as well, in addition to black and white. So those will be the main colors we'll be doing. So if you need to go back to the main cam, Roy, is there any other comments you would like to read out loud?
Yeah, so mostly just everyone saying hello and happy Friday. Hello, Jessica and Roy from Brian Neely. A lot of people have been telling you hello. Again, hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you guys like this setup. It is a kind of a big change. We had to actually just above Jessica's head, there's a big boom that's holding the camera right above her there. So this way we could get a top-down view, because most of the work she's working on is flat work. So it's all going to be right there. So that was a real trick to get all this set up, which I wouldn't have thought it would have been. But man, it took a lot of setup to get this set up over here in her little corner of the world inside the shop. But Island Metal Force said hello, everyone again. Also, real quick, I'll just mention this, and I'm not going to take too much of Jessica's time so she can get back at it. But I just want to mention, if any of my moderators in the house and in the chat tonight can definitely help me out on, moderating the chat. I'll need to lean on you guys very heavily, as I am not Clicky Fingers McGee. I cannot handle multitasking that great. I can do like 4 things. I can do 4 things at once. That's all I can do. So, anyways. Yeah, but that's about it. Let's see here. Champ Ironworks had a question. He said, Roy, can you enamel shiny, mild steel? So can you enamel shiny, mild steel? And I'll turn that one over to Jessica.
To answer your question, Champ, yes, you can. Oh, wait a second. All right. To answer your question, yes, you can enamel mild steel. I do not have a sample. I've sampled it myself once. I've tried it, and I was able to get the enamel to stick to it just fine. And so, yes, you can. I've had a friend in an enameling class. She enameled an entire bowl. She had a couple of areas where the enamel was a little patchy, like it didn't fully like to stick. But that's definitely something worth experimenting with. And so, and then, you know, if all you have is mild steel on hand, you can start with that, since copper's a little harder to come by.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me know, Wiley, that the sound and picture is great. I'm a little mixed up on here. So usually the microphone that Jessica is wearing, the lavalier mic, is mine. So on our little switcher here, it's labeled as Roy, and she's Jessica. So it's like it's tripping me out on the microphone. So please bear with me, y'all. We'll do our best on this one, the best I can. So yeah, and thank you all, my moderators, for stepping up. I appreciate you all for saying that you got my back. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Also, a few other people had said, it just kind of scrolled by too quick there for me, but that they got their punches and chisels. So that we gave away in the other stream, and you guys like that. Also, the winner of the Anvil in the last Anvil giveaway live stream that we did receive their Anvil and is super excited to get started with that. And from what I understand, they are brand new to smithing, so it's really going to help out. So super, super happy that it went to somebody who, you know, is really going to be able to get a lot of use out of it. So that's awesome. And next month, we'll be giving another one away. So as you all know, so we'll be giving another one of those. Yeah, we'll be giving another one of those 66-pounders away. And I got a lot of test videos, too, by the way, coming up. So.
All right. Okay, where we go now. All right.
There's like a slight delay. It's like it's not wanting to click over. So
oh, right away. Gotcha. Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Let's see. So, as far as the enameling process goes, normally with jewelry, the very first thing that you do is enamel the backside. Excuse me. And let's go ahead and go to camera 2. I have a small sample of this here, where I've enameled the backside, and they actually call this counter enameling, which is basically just references enameling the backside of the piece. And so for counter enamel, because it's not the show side, it doesn't necessarily have to be overly pretty. It's just kind of functional. And so what a lot of enamelists will use on the backside for their counter enamel is just scraps of colors that got mixed. So this isn't, pull it back a little, down here?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. And to you guys, this probably looks gray, but it's actually individual tiny little grains of different colors that sometimes the colors get mixed together if you're sifting more than one color at a time, or if you're like, say you have a couple of colors on a piece and then you go to set it on a trivet and the piece just like completely falls off the trivet, and then you get like a pile of enamel underneath the fire bricks, and instead of throwing it out, you know, you can reuse it for this purpose. And so that's normally the first step. I was going to ask Roy's opinion on this. I believe the last magnets we did, we just put the magnet on the back of the copper, left the copper, you know, raw, and attached it with epoxy. What do you think for this time around? Should we counter enamel it since this is a thinner piece, or just go ahead and leave it raw?
I would say if you want to show the counter enameling piece, I mean, I think it would be neat to see the whole process, you know, actually counter enamel something, and so they can see how that looks in transition, and then go ahead and do the decorative design on the front. It doesn't matter for when you stick the magnets on the back. It's basically just gluing the magnets on the back. So, yeah, I would say I would do that myself. I think that would be pretty good. And then also, real quick, anybody who's in the stream who's asking me enameling questions, I'm the wrong bloke for that. Jessica will eventually get to all that as she's going along here. And if I see them, if you got a pressing question, just keep asking that question in the chat. And if it's there when I get to my speaking part, I will make sure Jessica finds out about it. So we'll do it just like that.
Okay. Yes, Roy's done one enameling class with me, and that's when I very first started. Come up is last February, but after doing that one-day class together, we found out the instructor Jean Vance was running a 6-week class there in Ohio, and so Roy watched the kids for me so I could go and learn more. And then ever since then, I have been actually towards the tail end of that class, we bought our house, and so we knew we were going to be moving, and so I started doing torch fired enameling. So to begin, I'm going to pick one of my sifters. Oh, camera 2, Roy. All right, just making sure you're there. The sifter size doesn't particularly matter. I'll just go ahead and use the large one. I can fill it with all of this. And so I'm just going to hold this piece by hand, and actually before I put anything on it, I'm going to check which trivet I'm going to use. Right now these trivets are cold, so I can touch them by hand later on after torch. Yep, sure. This is my small trivet. This is my large trivet. Roy made this one for me. This one I bought. It's not actually attached in the center there. It's just flaps folded upwards. These are made from stainless steel. Stainless steel does not scale up at least under the temperatures of the torch, or in the temperatures that a kiln will run. So these will not get flakes of scale into your enamel, which is what you want, you know. So I'm gonna set the piece on here real quick and see if that's gonna be, it looks like that fits on there. It's not quite to the edge, so that'll work. We'll try this with the small trivet. So I'm gonna put that over on my brick, and I'll show you that setup here in a moment. So I'm gonna hold the enamel or the copper like this, just so that's balanced, and I take my sifter, and you can either rub on the braided area there, or you can just tap whatever you feel gives you the most amount of dexterity. I'm gonna put on a fairly thick coat, just like that, and I'm gonna try to grab it just at the edge there. And it's ready to go on the trivet now. So if you switch to camera 1, Roy. I'm there. Okay. And we'll set it on there just like that. So in the meanwhile, since I'm not going to need the rest of this counter enamel at this time, I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the bucket. Yeah, sure.
So to answer some of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat there, someone was asking if I was going to be are we doing any giveaways tonight? And so this stream is mainly just to take and hang out with everyone. We may give away some of the pieces that Jessica's working on here in the stream, but we know that the chats have been kind of crazy lately in our live streams, and so this is really just us hanging out with you all and having a good time, and you know, just relaxing with you all for one evening. Now, next week's live stream, for those of you that are in the chat, that's when we will possibly be giving away the next Anvil. So, you know, it kind of pays to be a good supporter of the channel, so you all will know what's up there. But we have a lot of items that we do plan on giving away next week's live stream. But this one is just for us to hang out with you guys. Yeah, I just get to chat, which is odd. It's odd. Usually I'm so I don't know, uppity is not the right word, but I'm always just so on the go and trying to make things happen. Now I get to put Jessica in that position, so so I enjoy that really well. But yeah, so thank you guys for being here. If we do give anything away, it'll most likely be some of the pieces that Jessica is working on, provided that they come out good. Other than that, just enjoy the nice 2 hours of a nice relaxing chat and just hanging with us.
All right, so with my first layer of enamel on there, I am going to go ahead and get my torch ready to fire this. And I will tell you guys what torch I'm using here. This is a Benzomatic TS4000 torch head on this, and it's just hooked up with like a hose to a 40-pound propane tank. So this works pretty good. I mean, it heats kind of slow in comparison to an oxygen acetylene torch I used. I actually melted some copper using oxygen acetylene. Much hotter. So this, especially for beginners, helps you bring up the heat a little more slowly, and so you don't scorch your piece. So I've got the tank turned on.
Heater behind you, Jess.
Oh, the heater? Oh, get out of the way.
They're saying you're freezing. Just lean
Okay.
forward.
Oh, well.
No,
Oh, forward? Okay.
Yeah.
There's that heater back there. So, I was.
I'm a good husband.
You are. I was gonna bundle up anyway, just because it's probably like 15 degrees out here right now. So, we have a torpedo heater in here too, but you guys wouldn't be able to hear us at all if we were running it. So, I'm gonna go ahead, and my torch head is on, my bottle's on. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna heat this piece up to about a dull red. You'll see it change color, and let's see, I'll go ahead and explain this now. The enamel grains themselves, they go through a couple of different stages. The first one is called a sugar. What it looks like on the surface is like there's kind of still the individual specks, and you can see there's a lot of texture on it still. And at that point, it is adhered. It's just not fully melted together. So then you keep going past that until it gets like a good glossy sheen across the surface of it, and then there's not any individual granules anymore. And it's very well fused at that point. So let's go ahead and heat this up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Roy will switch to camera 2 while this is cooling off real quick. I'll hold it in the camera. And it changes colors super quick, but it's still hot. And you can kind of see right now, definitely the different color, the white definitely sticks out of the mixed colors of enamel there. But I'm just going to set it back on the fire brick. And after firing a piece, you need to wait a couple of seconds before moving it, especially if there's multiple layers of enamel, because you might leave a pitted surface on it with your tongs or whatever when you pick up the piece. So it should be good now. I can set it aside and just let it finish cooling on the tile. So that is the process of counter enameling. That's the very first step on most pieces of jewelry. So if there's any questions or any comments Roy wants to read, I'll let that do that while this piece goes ahead and cools down.
Okay, so back to me. Ha ha ha. See, I told you guys I'm a good husband. She's got a heater behind her. And guess who's freezing tonight? This guy. Like always. Like always. Of course I give her the best seat in the house. Rambo Harrison said, what type of gas, propane or MAP? It is propane. We've got it hooked to a 40-pound bottle, and there's a barbecue grill connector to it. So basically, it's a barbecue grill hose that connects to a plumbing torch, and that's a Benzomatic T4000 torch. So one end screws onto the propane tank, the other one screws into the bottom. Now that is a MAP gas torch, but it does run on propane as well. And so that just goes to show you that you don't need a whole lot of heat to actually do this, which is quite surprising. And if you noticed how quickly the counter enameling process is, that was one thing that really struck me when we were doing that class together, is that, like, for years I thought enameling was like super hard and you had to like have all this special chemistry stuff and like all these special chemicals and you name it to make the actual glass stick to the surface of stuff. And you really don't. You're just playing the cooling and contraction rate of the glass. So it's a special kind of glass that you have to use. I don't know if Jessica mentioned that, but I'll let her talk more about that, and when it's her turn to talk. But yeah, so that's kind of how that works there. But it is kind of a special kind of glass. Like you can't just smash a beer bottle and like enamel that onto something, or a marble. It's a different kind of glass, I guess, from my understanding anyhow. And Mr. Daniel Crawford, yes, I made her copper tongs that you see there in the video. They are great for non-scratching type work. No, I actually did a whole entire video on those, by the way, tutorial.
Link down in the description for that.
Yeah, so there's a link down in the description down there that you guys can check it out. So, Jada Bowl Custom said, could you explain counter enameling? I has no clue. So let me go ahead and switch it back over to Jess real quick.
All right. Yes, the counter enameling, simply put, is just enameling the back side of your piece. There's no special type of enamel you have to use. It could be any type of enamel. Technically I could use one of my colors if I wanted to. Only thing to note about that, if you're using a color in your torch firing, is that the torch itself can leave a residue in the colors when directly heated. So if the back of this piece was, say, yellow, and then it was facing downwards, and when I'm working on the front, I'd be heating from behind, and so this yellow would get kind of a smoky gray color in it. And that doesn't happen with all the colors, but it does happen with a lot of the lighter colors, I guess you would say. So, so again, the counter enameling is just applying enamel on the back side, is what it is. And I just use the mix of colors that I get. Sometimes my colors get mixed, and so I use that. So that explains that. And then also on the note of the torches there, a lot of people will just use MAP gas torches even. The only thing about that is it does get more expensive. That way, purchasing the little bottles of propane or whatever type of fuel that they're using. Got something to say there, Roy?
Yeah, so real quick, big shout out to Champ Ironworks. Like the quaint streams, he said. Quaint. CCI Lifer. Hashtag stick it to cricket. That's right. Stick it to cricket. Exactly. So thank you, Champ, so much. We do appreciate you, brother. We do appreciate those super chats from every last one of you. You all are what make this stuff possible. And this new mic here, this was actually given to us by a good friend of ours, a family friend of mine, to try out. So we are testing this out versus the Blue Yeti. And hopefully it's got decent quality audio, so hopefully it's not absolutely atrocious to listen to in there. And then of course Jessica's still wearing the Rode mic, but again, a lot of this type stuff would not be possible without your guys' generous super chat donations. So we do appreciate it. We do, always do. You guys know it. We appreciate it. So thank you so very much. Somebody else said, let's see here, we go up above. Fencer's Forge. I just want to reply to this. The Fencer's Forge. I love what you two do. I'd love to meet you both in person, Roy. I'd really be honored if you were up my way. You give me a holler and we can forge something together. that would be my honor, sir. And if you let me know where you live or whatever, maybe if I am up that way, I'll do so. Also, we just got another $20 super chat from Aimless Adventurer. Champ had a $50 super chat, so you guys are amazing. And it was a super sticker that said, "You're amazing," and there's this dancy little guy that's dancing. So he's got about just as good of he has got just about as good a dance moves as I do, and he kind of looks like me, kind of rotund in the midsection. So that's pretty accurate. You all rock. Thank you guys so much for the super stickers and the super chats. You're awesome. So I'll go ahead and switch it back. Also, somebody was asking, what do you use to clean the copper with?
Yeah, I'll get into that.
Don't do big buttons. Go ahead.
I'll get into the cleaning the copper here in just a moment. So that's what I'm about to do. So the copper you see, I'm going to go to camera 2, but that would be a good thing. Like you see, the copper I started with was really clean, but that's not really the case if you're recycling copper. And so what I have, let's see. So in the past, I have used a strong vinegar to clean the copper, and kind of like the pickle that Roy does with the steel and stuff like that. It cleans scale off. That can be used. I have some small 2.5-quart plastic buckets up on the shelf. I haven't been using them in the winter though because the stuff freezes out here. And so actually, what I'm going to do right now to clean this piece is, so on this side there's some loose scales you can see there. And I'm just going to use this Scotch Brite pad. And I'm going to use it and
Hold up, Jess.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. It was the wrong night.
Oh, whoopsie. Okay. I'll repeat it. Yes. So when you have dirty copper or something like that you need to clean, you can do so in a vinegar pickle bath, just like you see done with steel. And there's also, when we were in class, we used, it was some type of pool cleaner. I'll have to look up that information because I haven't purchased it myself yet. But it did an extremely good job, and within 5 minutes, the copper was fully clean. But on this piece, and just working with it, I have found that pieces don't have to be completely scale-free, especially if they're being covered with an opaque color, because you're not going to see through it down to the surface of the copper. So I'm just going to use a Scotch Brite pad. This is like found in cleaning supplies, and I use this just mainly to get any loose scale off of there, just so I don't have any flakes falling into my enamel powder, because that, just kind of dirties the enamel color when I'm doing that. So I've got a good bit off of it there. So I'd say that's all that's really required. The scale that's on there is not loose anymore. So I'm gonna just I can wipe that off there.
Is that all you do to clean it up?
Yes, that's all I've been doing. Yeah, I know with the acid bath, I have not personally had any problem doing it with this method. I have not had any problems with enamel not wanting to stick. Every single time so far the enamel stuck for me. I know it's kind of a debate in the enameling community how clean the copper has to be. There's some people who thoroughly clean the copper, and there's other people who basically don't clean the copper at all. So there's people on both sides of the fence. That's where I guess I'm in the middle. I just knock off the loose scale and go from there. So I am going to select my base color for this piece, and that is going to be white. This is opaque 1030 foundation white. Oh, and to answer the question earlier, what type of glass is this? It is called vitreous enamel. And I'm afraid I don't know. It's something I should read up on about the different forms of glass and stuff like that. But this type of glass is called vitreous enamel. And that's where I guess it says here, jewelry enamel for metal is Vitriarch is their specific type of brand, or copyrighted, whatever you want to call it. So next I am doing off to the side here, I'm looking for, I switch out my sheets of paper because even after shaking off the extra enamel off of the sheet, sometimes there's still a few grains that remain. So to avoid color contamination, like I have a different sheet labeled for the different colors. So this is my white sheet, and I can put my white enamel in a sifter now. Normally you want to knock the sifter a couple of times to make sure you've knocked loose any previous colors that were in there. And since the enamel's not wet, it has, you know, it's not really anything in there to stick to, so it'll just knock loose. So again, I'll hold this as before, just in my hands, just let it balance. And then I take the sifter and tap it. And since this is going to be a base coat, and I only plan on doing one of these, I'm going to put this on fairly thickly. I don't want to see any patchy spots underneath. And then going around the edge too is good. So there we go. All right, so we can switch to camera 1, and I'm going to go ahead and set this piece on the trivet. And it will be ready to fire. Roy, any questions?
Yeah, so let's see here. I just saw one. Give me a second. Rocky McMahon says, does enamel stick to other types of metals? And or can you do tools?
Okay. Enamel sticks to quite a few different types of metal. I don't have the chart in front of me at the moment. I know it will stick to, it definitely sticks to silver because a lot of jewelers like to use silver and enamel pieces. I do not believe it will stick to stainless steel. I don't think so. Brass, I think some varieties of brass it will stick to. It has to be a certain type though, which you can buy in like sheet format and things like that. So again, mild steel is a yes. And off the top of my head, that's all I can remember. And I know they use gold some in enameling as well. I think not necessarily an entire chunk of gold, but they'll use like gold wires for closenoy, which is creating little pictures on there in wire. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so I want to acknowledge another super chat. Well, it's a super sticker, if you will. Come in from Twisted Angel Forge, and it's a little, I don't know, fox thing saying something is number 1. So I can't read that small, or it's blurry anyhow out here in the shop. So thank you all for doing the clappy hands. Also, YouTube being what it is, if you are having problems with the stream on our end right now, we don't have any drop frames, and we have good stream help. So if you're having troubles with the stream, sometimes like YouTube has some problems like encoding and things, all you have to do is exit the stream and then reload the stream, and that's kind of like refreshing the stream, and that should jump back in to where you are at. I've had that problem before where, you know, someone's stream was kind of starting to act buggy, and it was on YouTube's end, and I just had to refresh, and it was fine. So, yeah, so just either refresh the stream or back out of the stream completely and then come back in, and then you should be up there. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for that $5 super chat. We appreciate it. And if we can get this cat to stop messing with the cords, then hopefully we'll continue to do that. So Rocky McMahon said, thanks, Jess, for all that. Let's see here. I'm trying to look here. Debaka Maker said, can you enamel hammers? I'll go ahead and answer that. So the enamel that's on there is not, it is a very superficial thing. So it is not bonded into the surface really in any way. I mean, it is kind of surface bonded, but you can chip it off. So, you know, glass is not very strong. So I wouldn't do that unless it's going to be a ceremonial or decorative hammer. You could probably do that and actually get some enameling to stick, and then sure, why not? It's just encasing it in glass, basically. But if you were going to take and use it on any sort of impact, that would be a no-go. Let's see here. Let me look here. Yeah, people have talked about that, the impact of hitting something. Everything's fine, hopefully. Chat. Oh, okay. Everyone's okay there. Hi, everyone. Mine is clear, and all that good jazz. Good. So, all right. So let me switch you over. There's a delay here, so give me a second.
All right. Oh, and just a little earlier, Roy had mentioned how surprised he was at how quick it was to enamel a surface. And I recently spoke to Roy's aunt, which does glass fusing, and I come to find out, just kind of talking jewelry making with her, that glass fusing, she's talking about a lot of the pieces that she fires in a kiln, they have to fire for over 12 hours. And so she was like amazed hearing the quickness of, you know, a piece can be fired, you know, 30 seconds or so with a torch, and even in a kiln, you know, 2 to 3 minutes maybe or less. It's really just dependent on the size of the piece. So yeah, she was amazed. But I mean, if you think about it, this is the consistency of powdered sugar, and you're applying a dusting, so it's not super thick. You're not going to be able to build up like, you know, a 1/4 inch of enamel on a small piece. So, yep. All right, so we're going to go ahead and torch fire this piece. So, same as before, I got my torch at the ready. And I will heat it from underneath. And the way the trivet's designed, there's an opening there where I can get the torch head fairly close and kind of aim the flame. So I'll do that now.
Yeah, so real quick, Charming Hollow Forge. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the torch and everything's fine. Or no, not Charming Hollow Forge. Who was it? I'm sorry, gotta go up here. Corey Shire said, hashtag Roy. Yamez had a great question about putting forge scales, flakes, or copper shavings in with clear enamel. And I guess maybe if that would work. And I believe anything that you can put in the glass while it's gooey will stay there in the glass once it sets up. You can do impressions and other things like that as well. Also, Charming Hollow Forge. I have been trying to send $25 to Jess for fancy coffee or whatever, but my phone's being dumb. Sorry, Jessica. That's all right, Charming Hollow. You've got us plenty of time, sir. Save a little bit of that money for yourself and your wife and take her out somewhere nice. You know, make up for all your bad behavior. It's all you.
Okay, all right. Just answering a few things there. If you want to go over to camera 2 for a moment. So this, I could have gone a little thicker on the color. I mean, you can still see a little bit of gray underneath, and that's just from the copper, and probably a little bit of the scale. There's a couple of little flecks in there, and that's just somewhere along the way some of the scale got mixed into the batch. But, you know, that's okay because the design I'm going with, I'm going to have some black on the front of this anyway. So I'm going to let this cool for a little bit, and you can switch back. Yep, so I'm gonna let it cool for a few minutes, and do you have any more questions, Roy, or do you want me to explain another part of the process?
Yeah, so real quick, let's see here. Somebody had asked, let me go up a little bit. Aimless Adventurer said, got to get the daughter. She will be forging in Hook this weekend. If y'all would watch and give her some words of encouragement, it would be great. Be good all and look out for one another. Thank you, Aimless Adventurer, for being here. God bless you, sir. Thank you for doing that. Aaron Dennis, that was the question I was trying to get to. Jess, do you have problems with ruining one side when heating the other? And hold on. My mouse is freezing a little bit. Oh, okay, now I'm back at the bottom. I'm going to stop touching that so this way I don't break the net.
All right, do I have problems ruining one side? So again, on a piece such as this, and I'll go ahead and go to camera 2 here, you can't see, there's not a noticeable difference. Down here? Back towards me. Towards me. There we go.
Center of the frame. So
Center.
Center of the paper.
There. Okay, let's practice aiming here. There we go.
Center of your paper like you would in the center of the paper.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Center of your paper. Back the point up towards you.
Towards me.
There
Okay,
you go.
I was gonna
Center
say,
of frame.
okay, well from this angle it looks more towards the bottom, but anyhow.
No, it's okay. Like when you're showing it off camera, way above the camera.
Oh, okay.
Like under the shelf.
Okay,
You can't see it.
I gotcha. Okay. So does the back side ever get ruined, was the question. So this side, there's noticeable difference on the counter enamel side from the torch being touching it. On one of the other pieces I might do a color so you can see what that does to a backside, that's exposed to flame for an extended period of time. And then on the front side here, you guys, I don't know if you'll be able to notice it or not, it's got just the slightest little bit of warp to it. And just because, I could be using a little bit thicker of a blank, and that would prevent distortion of the metal from being heated. Also, if you dome it or cup it a little bit, that gives the shape extra strength as well. But for the most part, no, I wouldn't say that I have run into too many problems ruining the backside of a piece, because ultimately most pieces are only meant to be shown from one side, at least with jewelry anyway. If you're doing something like a bowl, which I have done in class before, where potentially you will be seeing the underside of it as well, the way that it is shaped, normally you can leave a spot at the very bottom of the bowl. If this is the bowl and it's upside down here, you could leave a spot at the very bottom of the bowl where you don't enamel it at all, or you might put little feet so that when it goes into the kiln, you can set something there where the enamel's not making direct contact on your screen that you're setting in, or your trivet that you're putting it into the fire. So I think that answered that question. So you can stay at camera 2. So for this particular design, as long as I can do this with a slight warp in this piece, I have a stamp that we had made of our logo, and I actually ordered a slightly smaller one, and they sent this one to me as an extra freebie. And so I'm going to use this on this piece. I ordered these blanks to be just the right size for it. So this first one is going to be a stamped design. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is I have Versamark. This is just a clear, it's clear. It's like a clear ink. They use it for watermark stuff in scrapbooking. And this is what I'm going to use on my stamp here. So I'm just going to kind of lightly tap it on there. And then on my piece here, I'm going to try to press firmly without wiggling it side to side. So if you've done much stamping before, same process. Then I'm going to just tap it loose and look at, if I look at it here, you guys probably can't see it. Okay. Yes. Okay. Faintly there's a design on there, but I missed this edge over here. It didn't quite make full contact over here. So I'm going to try to wipe this dry and try again. And on this next one, if it looks good, I'll just sprinkle I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle the enamel directly on there so it doesn't try to dry on me too much or anything. But Give me a moment to dry it. Ah, ran away. Where did it go?
Yeah, so to just answer some questions there, thank you guys. On the bigness of piece, you can take in thickness and size-wise, you can really enamel whatever you want. Welcome back, Ben Toom, sir. Sorry you were banned for a brief moment in time, but good to have you back. Also, I believe my dad was in the chat. He said, it looks cold there. It is definitely cold up here. It's not as cold as it has been. It's only like 20 degrees right now, so it's working pretty good for us. And, it was 30-something, just a little over 32 degrees today. So that was a warm day, and it felt good. It felt good to be outside. All right, so I'll turn you back over to Jessica. And I'm just remaining quiet over here while Jessica talks and teaches you. And so I will turn you right back on over to her.
Still at camera 2?
You are now.
Okay, camera 2. All right, I'm gonna attempt stamping this for the second time. Sometimes it takes a few times to get it on there good without smudging or missing part of it and whatnot. And again, with this piece slightly warped, may make it hard to get the full design. I'm tapping it here to allow it to fall off. That way it doesn't smudge if I was to pull it off. So it looks like I got it. I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle this on, and then I'm gonna tap it off, all the excess. Whoop. So I got most of the design there, as you can see. So yeah, that made pretty good contact if I don't have to do it all over again. I am butterfingers right now. That's not good. All right. The cross there in the center kind of got a little blurry. So I can use a tool of some sort and just knock the excess out of there. I got a little pick thing here. So I can clarify that a little more. So now this piece is ready to fire. This will be the second coat, and that is really all I had to do for that second coat, is just apply the enamel. And again, the reason why it stuck just where the stamp had left it was because of this ink. It just really needed something that was, left the design on there, and then that enamel fell off the rest of the dry areas. So Roy, if you want to switch over to camera 1, that'll be fine, and we can take a few comments.
All right, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what. We've got to do something about the lag between mic switching here. So we're still working on it. It's still one of those things that we got to work on because it is going slow. Maybe it's because the computer's cold. Maybe it's because I'm cold. Maybe it's because Jessica's cold. Maybe it's because it's less than 30 degrees outside. Who knows? But everything's moving slow so far, including our blood cells. But anyways, I just want to say hello to everyone. Jason Ford said he likes that touch mark thing going on there. Good. Island Metal Forge said Roy's okay, I suppose. Hey, Ting Ting from County Line Forge. Good to have you in the house, brother. Jessica, that looks totally awesome. Opossum, he said. Yep. Yamez says that there's an echo, and there probably is. It's just kind of this thing. It's kind of acting up a little bit. So hopefully it is on the right mic this time around. We'll see. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm sure I'm probably missing some people's comments there, but I'm afraid to do too much clicky fingers McGee and cause the string to lag or something and switch it up there. One of the real reasons is if you see that concrete wall behind us there, that actually creates a lot of interference with our Wi-Fi router. that's located about 100 feet away from the corner of this building, like doot, right over there. So anyway, so that causes quite a bit of interference there. So I don't want to do too much clicking around and cause a lot of problems. Let's see here. Drayson's Forge said, hashtag, where do you get enameling powder from, or where do you get it at? And then I will transfer it back over to you in just 1 second.
All right, I can continue now. There's a couple of different suppliers that you can get enamels from. And by the way, I did put a list down in the description of some of the supplies that I use. Some of them I'm using today, and some that I've used in other videos as well. One of the big suppliers is Thompson Enamel. They're located bottom of Kentucky, well, bottom of Ohio, right on the Kentucky border. So they are popular. If you want to go to camera too, Roy, all of these that you see here that I'm using with like this size with the white lid, these are from Thompson Enamel, and they're a very well-known supplier. And then also, alternatively, there's another supplier on Etsy. Her name is Pearly Carpel, and she's based out of Israel. And her enamels are a little cheaper. They take longer to get here. Obviously, they're coming from overseas. But I've had good success with these as well. I'd say they're high quality enamels, and it can help if you're just getting started and you want to get a couple of colors to be able to pick up a few more of them for inexpensively. So yeah, those are two of the suppliers. There's several more. I know they sell on Etsy also. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. So, and if we're still on camera too, are we right? Okay. Let me see. I'm going to show you, if you guys remember the keychains I did a couple months ago, and I'm going to put this here. There you go. I took one of our keychains here and I just put it on a necklace. But this is the same concept as the stamps I'm using here. This was, this one I actually used this stamp, and the whole design didn't fit on there, but you still see a little bit of the border down there at the bottom. But same concept. On these pieces, instead of using white for the background color, I used, like a yellow and an orange. And then I stamped on the Anvil using the same process. And what I found with doing that is that it was light, kind of light looking, which you'll see here in a moment when I fire this larger piece. But when I tried before doing a sampling piece and trying to use the full design on a copper blank and then firing it and then trying to line it up a second time and get it perfectly matched with all the little details, I found it really difficult to do. So that's why I chose a white background. It's lighter and I can get away with just stamping it once, So let me go ahead. Question?
So real quick, I keep getting people who are commenting echo. Is the echo on my microphone or Jessica's microphone as she's talking? At one point, it had not switched and left both microphones running at the same time, so that might be the case. And to answer some people's questions, real quick. Photon Chief said, it seems like enamel pottery glaze is similar. Are there much of a difference? I'm not so sure on the pottery side of things, but I believe that it's the same type of glass, the vitreous glass, in the enameling for both there. So not familiar with the pottery thing like that. Also, somebody wanted to know if they skip the ads when they come into the video. Okay. The echo is on your mic when you're talking. So I don't know if you need to bring it up a little closer to you, or we might have to try to restart it. So I say, like, after you switch back turn your mic off. Okay, I think it was my problem. It was my fault. I think it's my fault. So there shouldn't be an echo there. I'll get it. I'll get that squared up. Anyway, somebody wanted to know if you skip the ad at the beginning of like our videos or whatever. If the ad doesn't apply to you, don't watch them. I don't watch ads that don't apply to me or that are like 5 minutes long and I'm watching a 4-minute long video. I'm not going to watch a 5-minute ad and listen to some dude tell me how I could get a Ferrari if I follow his 10-step plan. So just not going to do that. So don't feel bad about that. Yes, it kind of hurts us in the pocketbook, but there's like other ways of supporting us just with, your watch time and sharing videos around and, also, super chat donations, things like that, buying some of our work, buying merch. There's a lot of different ways that you can do stuff other than just watching YouTube ads. So just keep that in mind if that's what you want to do to take and support. But yeah, if it's a dumb ad, don't watch it. We don't need dumb ads playing on our channel. Especially nothing that's working good for anything. So, all right, for the echo, you need to turn down your monitor, not something. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to work on the audio a lot more. Like I said, we're working with some different stuff, and there's only so far we can push this little laptop to do things. But just stick with us, and we'll continue to take and work what we can do. All right, I will switch it back to Jess, and let's see if the echo thing is good, and then maybe you can fire that piece or do whatever you wanted to say, eh?
Okay. As far as the pottery goes, I haven't done a whole lot with pottery. I know I've heard of a few things kind of being a crossover. I think there's one of them is like there's crayons or something that can be like a special type of crayon that can be drawn right onto the pottery, and those can be used, or maybe it might be ceramics, but those can be used also in enameling, and it'll work. I believe you still have to put like a clear layer of enamel over it to like lock it in place. And the other thing I heard of is reiku, I believe is how it's pronounced. The reiku done with pottery can also be done with enameling and jewelry, and I have not yet tried it myself yet, but I think I have 2 of the enamels in that I could try that, because they only have, I think it's manganese and one other color if I'm not mistaken. They have to have these certain chemical elements in them in order to produce that a certain effect. So the reiku, if you haven't heard of that before, it's like almost like a rainbow sheen, kind of like what you get with torch fired copper. And where you get those real pretty rainbow colors, you can get those colors to kind of come to the surface of the enamel with certain mixtures. So that's what I know about that.
Rick
and
Kirby sent a $5 super chat. Said beautiful work. Thank you. Keep warm.
Oh, thank you. I will. Thank you for the super chat and appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fire this piece now. And it'll take a little longer since this is technically our 3rd coat of enamel, so it'll take just a little longer this time around. All right, I'm gonna take this over to camera 2, Roy. There we have it. I'm trying to see. Yep, it looks like I got it. I was trying to make sure from where I was at that I was fully firing it and that it wasn't at that sugar coat. But yeah, these grains, the grains there definitely sunk down in, and it's a good, it's well attached. Well attached, it's well fused. So I'm gonna go ahead, and you can go back to me and Cam if you want. I'm gonna go ahead and set this piece aside to cool off, and I'm gonna call that piece finished.
Cool. So yeah, so everybody said that the audio is better now. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble. I think where I'm having trouble with my audio is the actual switching app that we've got going on here. It's that delay, and then sometimes it's popping right back out and letting both speakers run at once. So we'll have to check into that before the next live stream, Jess, and see if there's anything we can do about that to clear that up. But yeah, thank you everybody for giving us course corrections as we go here. And even if I don't say thank you to every single person individually, we do appreciate that. As a whole, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of the channel. And we've seen some new faces as well, so thank you guys for coming out and watching the stream. And make sure you join us in the next live stream where we might possibly be giving away an Anvil. But at any rate, we will be having a lot of other door prizes and things like that that we'll be giving away in the next live stream. So be sure to be there for that. It's going to be a good deal. So yeah, and thank you to all of my moderators who are keeping the chat in line. So I greatly appreciate you. The chat's not too wild here, so thank you. Thank you everyone for behaving yourselves. We do really appreciate that. Oh, let's see here.
Do we want to give this piece away, really?
Yeah, we can. Do you want to do that real quick? Let's go ahead and give that away. I'll switch it back over to your mic.
All right. Good, okay. We'll go ahead and go to camera 2 real quick. I'll show off this piece, how it turned out, now that it's nice and cool. There we go.
I think it's good now. It keeps popping back like out of mute.
Oh.
It's like unmuting itself.
That's weird.
So hopefully it's fine.
All right, so this is what the piece looks like finished. And the back, and we'll put a magnet on the back of this for you. I did plan on them being magnets, so therefore I don't have a hole in them for a pendant. But yes, and as is our usual giveaways, we select someone from the comments, and just as a thank you for attending and being here with us. And so I will let Roy try to give that a try. It'll be his first time doing that on the computer, and he can select a winner for this piece, and I will make a note of it since I don't think he's set up with his notepad or anything. Go ahead.
All right, I think it might be the phone screen does not like my calluses. That might be the problem. But anyways, so all right, everyone go ahead and drop your comment in the chat. We're going to scroll at random here and just pick one of y'all in the stream tonight. And just thank you for being here, and whoever wins it, we will ship it anywhere in the world. So again, thank you for being here. I'm going to scroll at random, and I will pick one random lucky person. So just whoever I end up on with my cursor. This is a lot harder than it looks, fellas.
It is. It's hard to stop the.
All right. Looked like we got Photon Chief said, "Thanks for the stream!" Exclamation point. Photon Chief, get with us with your contact information, and we will get out that thing right to you, a refrigerator magnet, once we get the glue on the backside with the magnet and all that good stuff. So yeah. So thank you, Photon. And I forgot the other name. I forget Photon guy. You friendly person. Yes, you. You want a magnet. Oh, I'm so terrible at this. Hammering's a lot easier.
It's all yours. All right, we can go ahead and go to camera 2. And for this next piece, just starting again with one of these 1.5" copper blanks. This time around, for the counter enamel, I'm just going to use white. So you guys can see when this piece is done, you'll be able to see the reaction the torch has with white. You know, you can see the kind of the cloudiness and the gray that it puts into the enamel when coming into direct touching with the white enamel. So, same as before, balance the piece. Try to get on a fairly thick coat, because I'm only putting on one on this piece. Some enamelists. Okay. All right, sure. Some enamelists, they use as many as, I've heard up to a dozen different layers of enamel. And so when it comes to how much counter enamel you need on the back, I've heard that you probably want a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you're going to do 4 coats on the front, you're going to want 2 coats on the back in that kind of ratio. So, or if you're going to have 6 coats on the front, you want to have 3 coats on the back to kind of offset the drawl or the stress on the copper that is caused by the enamel being there. In which, you know, working with this thinner copper, you see the results of that a lot quicker when it warps, when it's heated up. And I'm just going to go ahead and set this off to the side on my trivet for a moment. And I will show you some of my colors here in a second if Roy's still gone. Which again, this was just 1030. It's just a basic white. And, oh looky there, he's back already. But I'll go ahead and show you some of the extra colors I have anyhow, since I mentioned it. These pieces here, I was actually getting ready to attach my sample pieces to the top. This one is a transparent rose pink. So I did them on two different samples. One is on white, and then one is just on the copper. And because with it being transparent, that means that you'll actually get the copper to have some of the affect the coloration of it. So you can see the difference there between those two. This next one is a translucent sky blue. So this is the sky blue on a white background, and this is a sky blue just straight onto the copper. And it's not overly see-through, but you know, it's enough to see through the image underneath. And then our next one is Kelly, transparent Kelly. This one is the one on the white. It's quite a bit brighter. And this one is just straight on the copper, which I like the darker look of that. I think that looks nice. And then lastly is the translucent fuchsia, in which I haven't cleaned the scale off the back, so it's popping scale on me. But it's very similar over here to the rose pink. It's just a little bit darker, maybe a little more blue tint to it. So anyway, oh, and this first one, which I didn't point out, gotta glue that one back on. That one was an opaque blue-green. I need to do a secondary sample for that. Checking.
Okay, I'm back. Had to check on the kids there. Anyways, Coffee Forge sent us a $10 super chat and said, "Love ya, but switch back." So I think he means like switch back, put you behind the camera where you belong, over here, fixing things. So yeah, so Mr. Coffee, thank you, sir, for the $10 super chat. We greatly appreciate it. And yeah, and we will keep rolling on there. Yeah, it must be awesome to all the different colors she's describing. LOL. I think County Line Forge James is colorblind a bit there. So, but anyways, yeah. So thank you. Um, yeah, and Jessica, she definitely has a good hard job behind here. You'd be amazed at how many like there's buttons and switches and like meters to watch, and again, like microphones aren't wanting to behave, and yeah, software issues, and so you can owe a lot to Jessica for putting on these streams. I do a good job at explaining things and getting my end set up and orchestrated, but my God, it is like we need like 2 extra people in here. We need someone for audio design, we need someone for camera, and then we need somebody to just strictly read chat. Like that's kind of what we're doing all at once. And hopefully I'll get a snapshot after the stream is over of all of our gear set up here. It is quite crazy. It's definitely not just as easy as setting down and throwing a camera on you and saying, okay, I'm live now. So thank you guys for putting up with us and putting up with all of our difficulties and all that other stuff. And Debaka Maker said, rolling on the floor laughing, all them flashing lights and gizmos just makes Roy's head spin. Dan, yep, you're right. It does. It takes a lot of many hours of restless nights watching YouTube tutorials on what we're doing wrong. Basically, you don't watch tutorials on the net about what you're doing right. No, you watch what you're doing wrong, and you learn from people like 14-year-old kids that are smarter than you on all this stuff and putting tutorials together for us 30-year-old people. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think. But anyways, enough of telling my age. I'm going to shut up now and get back to Jessica, whatever Jessica is doing.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and torch this piece. I have the one thick layer of white enamel on there. All right, so that's all it takes. I guess this is probably a question that would come up eventually is, can you overfire a piece? And the answer is yes. If you leave it exposed too long, what will happen is the enamel at the edge actually starts turning like a black, and you can't undo that. It's like permanently affected. Which I haven't had that on any of my recent pieces. I guess I've figured out where the stopping point is. And again, with the propane torch, it kind of dials back the heat where it's not as hot as some other types of forms of heat. There we go. We're gonna let that cool for a minute. And while we do, I will show you my blanks collection here that I've started. We were down at Harbor Freight the other day. And Roy, if you want to switch the camera too. I seen these little organizers here, and I thought to myself, well, this would be perfect for putting some blanks in. And that way it makes them easier to find. So I've managed to fill all of the trays, and I have one other of these. I might end up spreading out them a little more. These are like some Christmas ornaments, and these I bought, pre-cut. I also have some deer that I did. I did these around Christmas time. I had a video on that. And if you're wanting to try out enameling or just learn more about it, I did put a link to the playlist down in the description below, where I think I have about 6 videos in total. So there's definitely some more information you can find out about just the different, and some of it's jewelry, some of it is when I did a class with Jean Vance, and so I was working on some cups and some bowls and things like that. So this, the shape here is for earrings. I haven't not tried any of these yet. And this lizard shape here is, you might have seen in the intro, I had a picture of a pair of these that I had done. That's what that shape's for. These other shapes on the next row, these are more just basic shapes. We have ovals in different sizes. And then I have my circles in different sizes. And then I found this on Etsy. I thought this was fun, especially if we get around to selling any locally. Just the shape of Michigan, you know, lower peninsula, upper peninsula, the whole of Michigan. So that'll be fun to have some of those to take around. So I have some little squares here, some teardrops, and some hearts. These I'm going to be doing for Valentine's Day here shortly. I'll have to work on that like next week, but I'm going to come up with some earrings with those. And then after that, the rest of these blanks in this bottom portion pretty much are all hand cut, just a variety of hand cut shapes, triangles and weird shapes and stuff like that. So yeah, that is my blank collection so far.
Yeah, so Island Metal Forge Yama says Jess needs some palm and crossbones pieces in there. You know, he didn't put wink wink in there, but I know that that's what he meant. Yeah, and let's see here. Photon Chief said, "Hey Roy, I sent you guys a message on Instagram with my info. If that will work." That should be fine if it'll pull through Instagram. If not, there is a contact link in the description. I'm pretty sure Jessica set there where you can just you can go over to our website www.blacksmithpdfs.com and go through the contact page there, and you can send us an email that way too as well. That way we can double check to make sure we have everything right. Also, I want to take this time and remind you, Jessica, and announce about a certain ebook that has been coming along and progressing, so we don't forget about it, and also give you a time check. We are at 6:35 p.m., so we do plan on going till 7 p.m. See, you didn't even think you were going to have that much to say, huh? So, all right. So let me turn it over to Jessica, and she can talk a little bit about her ebook. So this way you guys can know more information about that. And Techbronmatic, we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Yes, thank you for reminding me, Roy. Completely slipped my mind. Let's see, those of you who have been in the last couple of live streams with us, I had mentioned that I was working on a ebook around photography, and so I got it done a little bit ahead of schedule. I finished it like 2 days ago, which is good, better than pushing it to the deadline, because I definitely wanted to have it done by our first live stream in February. That's when I was planning on announcing it. So those who are here attending, you're on the in crowd. You know, you get to hear it first. So yeah, so I finished writing the ebook. I had a couple of people give me some feedback on it, and I got some good feedback from them, and you know, I enjoyed what they had to say about it. But yeah, they're like, yeah, you're spot on everything. You know, and a couple of these people are professional photographers, and so I was kind of looking, you know, I was waiting to see. I was kind of on the edge, like, okay, did I did I overlook something here? But no, they're like, yeah, you've explained it very well, like for a beginner, for beginners, you know, if you don't have any experience taking photographs other than like with your cell phone, you know, it's written towards beginners and how to take really good photographs. It's specifically written for an iron, for blacksmiths, you know, for taking photos of your ironwork. And so I delve into all kinds of topics in it. In total, it's 45 pages long. But if you're not a big reader, don't worry, because a lot of that is photographs. Every single chapter is very well illustrated with multiple photographs that, you know, show the different points I'm talking about. And so some of the topics I cover, you know, I talk about backgrounds, how you can use different backgrounds effectively, also how you can use props, you know, in your photographs to get really good props. And basically the first half of the ebook I write from the point of view that if without any technical knowledge of cameras, you can use the information I cover in the first half of the ebook and start taking better photographs like right away. Like you don't have to learn the settings in cameras and stuff like that. It's just like the little things you can do to take better photographs just like right now kind of thing. All right.
Yeah, so I just want to take and mention something about that real quick. And of course, you know, take it with what you will, a grain of salt. You know, I'm going to be biased, but I think this is one of Jessica's best ebooks yet to date. Just because I've got to see some of the journey, I've got to also, you know, weigh in on some of the photography things, because some people don't know that I produce and edit all of the videos that you've watched, and that is 1,350 plus videos here on YouTube. That has all been me as far as filming on the back end. There's been a few videos, probably 50 or 60 or so, that Jessica was definitely instrumental on, but for the majority of those have all been me. And so, like, just getting to she kind of already had that. She's heard me talk a whole bunch about different things. Of course, she comes a bit more, she has a better eye like for the photography side of things, as where I'm working more towards like the filming side of things, right? Like getting shots and all the camera settings and stuff like that. And so working that together was really great. And just seeing how much like side by sides that she put into the book is it's unreal. I mean, it's amazing how she worked all that in the book that has really good flow, that's really easy to understand. There's not a lot of big weird technical jargon, you know, and again, it's really to take and help you out there, because it's one thing to make beautiful items, it's another thing to get those items to look beautiful on camera, because a lot of times when you take pictures of stuff, you know, you take a 3D object and you turn it back into a two-dimensional object, and it just loses all of that value that you forged into it. So being able to have those good photos and things like that will really help you sell your work, or just, you know, share your work better. Share what your quality of work is, your skills, where you're at right now, and it should really help you out there. So I do believe that there is a link in the description down below that you guys can click if you want to go over there and check that out. So it is live, right? Okay, so it is live. So if you guys want to do that, we do greatly appreciate that. And of course, all of the proceeds of that go straight to us. So yeah, we're going to be very thankful for that. And it just all goes to help support out what we are doing here on the stream. Also, I saw up a little bit in the stream, somebody was mentioning, probably another YouTube channel, that they only have one camera and, you know, their filming's great and things like that. Live streaming is a completely different beast. Most people do not do live streams for the severe uptick in cost. So right now our live streaming setup, which is mild, has about $2,500 involved in it for live streaming. And this is like bare bones. It really should be a lot more for what we're doing with the audio, and there should be some soundboards and dedicated microphones and a specific studio space set up for live streaming, so you can get rid of all the weird noises and nervous ticks. And we should have, you know, full-on Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable ran out to the shop, and, you know, and it should be all hardwired and lights, camera, actions. And so it takes so much more than just one singular camera to do these streams. It may look a little bit down to earth based upon the looks of my shop, but it does take a lot on the back side, on the back end of things. So when you guys see different people's live streams and their setups, it does take a lot of work to get to that point. So just thank them for their streams. All those people that are around the net, it does take considerable amount of time. I know for us to set this stream up, it's been 2 days. 2 days of solid work to get this set up. And we usually start our Friday night live streams on Wednesdays. Yeah, so we start getting set up, we start getting prepped, start making sure all of our stuff's locked, stock, and barrel and ready to go for a Friday. So it's so much more than those 2 hours on a Friday evening than, to get at that point. So again, if you want to get into live streaming, it's just part of it, to take and put out a stream. And again, let me stress this: we are but bare bones when it comes to the streaming into things. And there's definitely room to grow for everyone. So, but anyways, I'll turn you back over to Jessica. Again, thank you guys. Damn, this had been a rough stream. Yeah, that's a rough stream. So anyways, so thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the likes. And if anybody could real quick drop me down in the chat, so I'm not clicking away on things, drop me down in the chat how many people are watching currently. I'd just like to know, just for an FYI. So thank you all, and we'll get back to Jessica. Maybe give something else away, fire something, or some other malarkey.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we shall resume. Good. Okay. Let's see. So on this piece, this step of the process, we have on camera 2, we have what is going to be the back side. We have our layer of enamel there. And now on this side, we have all the scale. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Just get it brushed off with our Scotch Brite pad. And you can also do this with sandpaper. I find this Scotch Brite is a little quicker. It kind of gets down in the crevices because it's a little more flexible. But yeah. Oh, and I forgot on the first piece to do the edge too, but the edge has a tendency to get some scale on it also. So there we go. All right, now for our first layer. Now for this piece, let me go ahead and explain the design to you that I have in mind. The design I'm going for on this piece, I want to look like hot coals. Kind of like when you're forging and you look down into the fire and, you've got the black coals, but you've got like the glowing look around it. I'm going to try to go for that effect with this piece. So in this piece, I'm going to be firing multiple layers at the same time. This very first step, I am going to be putting down a layer of black first, and then I am going to be putting down a clear layer on top of it, and it's a specific type of clear. Let me get out my clear page here. This type of clear, as you can see it right there, you can see right through it down below. This is a 2008 crackle base clear. So this is a clear crackle, and what that means is it will allow you to see. It kind of forms like what almost looks like bubbles or cells within the enamel. So it'll become more clear here in a moment. But I'm going to fill this time, and actually I did need my counter paper over here. I'm going to fill my little sifter with the counter, and I don't need a ton of it, but the reason I'm using the small sifter is because I'm going to have less waste this way. And I'm going to fill my larger sifter with the black. So, let's see, I'm going to put down decent level of black. This is going to be my very bottom base color, hopefully, that you're going to see in the piece. So I've got my first layer of black here. And then I'm going to next apply the crackle. And I'm going to try to do like a medium thickness coat of this. And whatever falls down on the paper there is going to be contaminated by the black. So it's just going to end up going into the counter enamel bucket. Because sometimes the little black grains do get knocked off. So there we go. So I'm going to set this over on the trivet. And so both of those coats are getting fired at the same time. And then I'm going to clean up my extra enamel that's sitting out.
I want to know if they can get a Jessica rant before the night's over.
A Jessica rant. Jessica doesn't rant about things. Ask her. Ask Roy about that. I'm not. He's like, sometimes he tries to have a conversation. I give him like 2-sentence answers, and he's like, that's not a conversation. Give me more. Nope. You know, the fact that I'm talking for half of this 2 hours is doing pretty good. So, all right, I cleaned up my black there. Sorry, my clear and my black mix. And then my black, it's not contaminated, so it can just go straight back in the bucket. And Roy, you can go back to main cam. And while I am torch firing this piece, I believe you guys can hear Roy, so if he wants to answer any comments or questions, I will let him do that while I start the torch.
All right, now you all got me. So first off, Night, Charming Hollow Forge, Hans, we appreciate you. Give your wife and kids hugs and kisses from us, and it's all the love in the world. So thank you, sir, for being in the stream. So go ahead, Jess. A Roy rant, then. Yeah, so we could definitely do a Roy rant at some point in time, but probably just on a Friday night stream that is like forging. I'll stay where I belong, so otherwise this will be a 4-hour stream. I've actually been toying around in my mind of possibly doing a section of like private streams or things like that for those who are interested, and just do like Roy rant streams. So it's like just a talking thing where I just sit and talk about the state and being of the blacksmithing world that we are living in these days. So that could get kind of interesting. We'll see what we have time for and all of those sort of things. So, all right, I'm going to turn you back over to Jessica, and then give us a Roy rant on Forged and Fire. County Line Forge said. I could definitely do one of those. I'll let Jessica. Are you ready to talk, Jess, or do you want me to keep going for a minute?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay, I'm going to give her 1 second, and then I guess I will Roy rant on Forged and Fire. So first thing first, Forged and Fire. I find it very interesting and entertaining to watch, based upon its cringeworthiness. And just it's amazing to me the collective amount of people that they find that can't forge a taper, and I'm just shocked and awed by that. But hey, that's really kind of how it happens when you skip your fundamentals and your forging steps. So, and I think part of that is a lot just on the Forged and Fire side of things. They're trying to make salacious content. They are not interested in seeing professional smiths work at the top of their game. They're really just there to kind of create, salacious little tidbits that they can chop up and put in little 3-minute sound bites, later on, and throw all together. Nothing against it. It makes it entertaining. It's a great opportunity for people. It is a great opportunity for people to get their name out there. Maybe if you're just getting started out, it can be not a great opportunity if you are already well known and respected in the knife making world, and they make you look like a buffoon online. So that could be problematic for your brand or your business or high-end clientele. They say, well, I saw you on Forge and Fire and all your knife blades broke. That could actually really hurt your business, contrary to popular belief. So not all press is good press. And so, if you're wanting to get involved on that in the Forge and Fire, you just kind of really have to assess where you're at in life. Now, I was invited to be on Forged and Fire. A lot of people don't know that, but I was, and I turned it down. As I kindly explained to them, I am the last person on the face of this earth that otherwise would ever want to take and make a knife and or any sharp, pointy, flatty objects of any kind. And they're like, oh, well, that sounds great. Then all we got to do is submit a knife of certain size and this and that. I was like, no, you didn't understand. I said, no, I'm not interested. One of those sort of things. So, it would have been interesting if I would have went on Forge and Fire. I would have just forged a rose or something and got myself disqualified in the first round. but it would have been a hoot anyhow. Oh, but anyway, so yeah, there you go. There's a little miniature Roy rant on Forge and Fire. Thank you, team, for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing it up. Now let's get back to something important, like Jessica.
Alright.
Back to Jessica. All right. We can go ahead and go to camera 2, and I'll show you. This is the base coat that we just fired, and I just took the Scotch Brite and lightly went around the edge, you know, to remove any scale, mainly just so it's not falling into my enamel here. And this is the backside that had been white, and as you can see, the torch discolored quite a bit. It added like a gray, grungy look to it that's embedded in the enamel. So that's why if you're going to do a piece that has 2 sides showing, or it's going to be visible from multiple sides, you probably want to use a kiln and not a torch, just to prevent this from happening. But, okay, so we've got the black and we've got the clear crackle. What I'm going to do now is do a layer of red and a layer of orange. I'm probably going to try to do these a little on the lighter side. And something along this lines. There we go. You can still see a little patchy places in there, but that's okay, because the effect I'm going for is the coals. So, all right. And then over here, I'm going to put this lightly on. And again, anything that falls down on the paper is going to be contaminated. It's going to have a little bit of red in there, so I'll put that in the counter bucket. All right. So the crackle, what's going to happen with the clear crackle is that it's going to cause these cells where you're going to see down lower, you're going to see some black in the background, and then you're going to see these different colors kind of in layers around these little cells form. But to help this process along, I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to poke some holes. This is just going through the loose enamel, and I'll hold it up here in a second so you guys can see it. But basically, you know, you could use a toothpick, or it doesn't really matter what kind of tool you use to do this. This is just going to help those cells get started. Now, I haven't used this exact color combination before, so it's going to be kind of a surprise how the results turn out. But
I can see it.
see it? Okay. So I'm going to put this on the trivet, and when using crackle, the other people, or there's a specific, there's a lady who does an ebook around this, and she calls it boiling. It's almost like you're boiling the enamels. It's kind of how she refers to the effect. But this is going to get fired extra longer than the other ones, just to allow the enamels kind of to separate. And the reason this happens is it's called a COE, the coefficient of expansion. Different grades, I guess, of glass, or I don't, fully know the science behind this, but some of the glass will expand differently than others. And so they're still compatible to be used together, but they create certain effects in the glass. So you'll see that here in a moment. So I'm going to set this over on the trivet. And Roy, I will let you answer some comments while I fire that.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys can hear me pretty good even with the torch running. I think it's good enough that you guys can hear me anyhow. But anyways, and I don't know if Coffee's Forge saw us earlier. Thank you for your $10 super chat, sir. We do appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure we did that. And if I missed anybody's super chats while I went and checked on the kiddos, I apologize. Just say, hey, I had super chatted. I hope I didn't miss anybody when I did that. But anyways, get back on subject. Everyone's talking about Forged in Fire and things like that. I'll go ahead and do part 2 of my mini rant about Forged in Fire there while Jessica works on her thing. So I'm really cautious to take and bash on anything that gives guys an opportunity in the craft to do something better for themselves. And certainly having an opportunity at $10,000 to get your setup better in shop, it's really helped out a lot of beginning smiths out there get started, because 10 grand, that's an awful lot in the till to be able to use to actually actually grow your business or your shop or things like that, buy materials, buy maybe a much needed power hammer you didn't have before. So a lot of stuff like that is really a good thing because of the show, and especially if you're just getting started, or you're a knife maker that's been doing it for a little bit, but maybe you don't have that public traction yet. It's a great opportunity as well to just get some exposure um, out there. So whenever I say things that are considered negative or condescending about Forge and Fire, it is usually based upon the effect that I don't like how they up people as being like masters of the craft, or that this is the masters. I really don't like that. Bladesmithing is not the pinnacle of blacksmithing. It's really not. It's just one part of blacksmithing. Um, just because, like, if you're a wheelwright, right, and you're like restoring wooden wagon wheels, that doesn't make you a master at all parts of the craft of blacksmithing, because you can, basically shod a wagon wheel, right? Same thing if you're a farrier. Just because you can shod a horse does not mean you can make a knife. And a lot of times that gets skipped over with big shows like that, which it makes sense because, they're there to promote one angle of blacksmithing, some of the flashiest types and points of it. I've been working on some custom hammers here lately, and I can tell you, one of them I actually screwed up, so it went to the bin. Well, it'll become my hammer eventually, so I had to start over on the custom hammer. But no one's going to watch me work for 37 hours hand chasing and filing a hammer to perfection. No one's going to watch that. That's not riveting entertainment. They're going to try to break it down in 3 minutes or less for my segment, broken up in 30-second intervals, to try to make it somewhat interesting, and they're only going to save the salacious bits, right? And I've had some film crews for PBS come out to my workshop when I lived in Ohio, and yeah, I've gotten to see the backside of that, like how big production crews work. And we filmed over 2 days, and I worked solidly for about 8 hours in the forge, doing tons of forging content. And all in total, I had a 3-minute segment on PBS, and in that 3 minutes time, there was maybe 90 seconds or so of actual forging in the 3 minutes. But there was 2 days worth of footage that they collected from my shop. So that just kind of gives you a little idea of what they're doing there. Sorry, I'm trying to get better at that. So when you go on a thing like Forge and Fire, again, they're keeping the salacious bits, they're keeping the interesting bits, and then, throwing out all of the other bits where maybe you gave an explanation why you chose to do something a certain way. It might have been because you're set up or this or that. So that can end up creating kind of some false, some false negatives on your end, where it will show people that maybe you don't know what you're doing, even though you do, and you explained out why you had to do something a certain way. But they cut that out because that's not entertaining. So yeah, so that's my second little Roy rant, if you will. Again, I don't really have anything against the show or otherwise to say it, but if you're a beginner, just admit you're a beginner. Don't say I'm a professional master blacksmith of only 3 years. No one gets to masterhood status in 3 years' time. I don't care what anybody says when it comes to that. So you gotta earn your keep, so to speak. So don't let it go to your head if you get called the master of all masters there, and you've only been at it a year and a half. It's all your show.
Okay, continue. Okay. I'm pretty happy with this. When I was firing it, I could not see the cell formation at all, which is just kind of a surprise how it turned out at the end there. But I think I am going to do one more coat with a slightly different color. I'm going to do a little bit of yellow just around the edges and see what kind of effect we can get with that. Just because the red and the orange, they were a little too similar here, so we're not seeing as much contrast between those two layers. So that's what I'm going to do now. And also, if you didn't hear what I said on the back, I said with the extended firing time, I think what was happening there is the enamel was kind of drawing from the coloring of the copper to give it this other discoloration, because it had originally just been white with a gray patch on there. So I'm just going to use my small sifter here, so it's not going to take very much at all. Probably fill it about a third full. Just sprinkle it on right around the edge, just like that. I'm gonna fire it again. It'll probably be for at least another minute. So if Roy wants to answer questions, you guys are getting all kinds of talk time with Roy tonight.
Yeah, sorry about the microphone thing. The thing that we're using is dropping. I didn't touch anything, and it literally muted Jessica all on its own. So we're definitely going to have to work on that, Jess, and get that figured out why it's doing that later on or whatever, because, yeah, that's really annoying. Like, I literally touched nothing, and it muted you right mid-sentence. So right now, hopefully I am live and you are muted. That's what it says it's doing. We'll see. It's a little bit on the glitchy side. A couple people say Jess needs to learn you how to audio. LOL. Some people said Roy dropping the ball. Ben Toon said. Oh, anyways, and then he said, "Are you sure we should trust him with hot steel?" No, probably shouldn't. So anyways, yeah, so thank you guys so much for that. And you know what we forgot, Jessica? We had forgot, I wanted to bring out Drayson's Forge. Is this Drayson's Forge? No, the Barretts. That's Drayson's Forge, right? No. The Barretts that got us that little flux container. Yeah, Drayson's Forge there. So yeah, I wanted to bring that out. He had got this little flux thing. I promise you, I will show it off in next Friday's night's live stream, because that thing is seriously cool, and I think it's absolutely awesome. So again, thank you guys so much for that. Island Metal Forge also came in with a $5 super chat. Jess, when he does it again, go boop him in the snoot. Go boop me in the snoot if I mess up the audio again. That's what they said. So thank you, Yamez. Everyone give Yamez a hand clap. Thank you, brother. Certainly do appreciate that. I think everyone in this chat knows Yamez at Island Metal Forge. If you don't, you should go over, check them out, and subscribe. Same thing with B&B Forge. He's another great channel. And also Ting Ting at County Line Forge. You ought to go check him out as well. And then Fencer's Forge. I copy you on that. And yeah, I'll let you know if I am ever up in that area. Thank you for sending that over to me. And who knows, you might see me up there someday soon. Let's see here. Everyone said hello. Hi, everyone. Awesome. This, that, what have you. All right, I'm going to give you a third little mini rant. I don't know why I call them rants. I think it just stuck. Someone called them a Roy rant at one time, and that stuck. It's really just my opinion, so you can take it with whatever grain of salt you like. Just throw it out the door. It's just perfectly fine. And I think Uncle Bucks is in the house, so hello, Uncle Bucks Forge. Good to have you, brother. Thank you, and thank you so much for being a longtime supporter of this channel. We do greatly appreciate you. So, without further ado, the reason why, let me get back to Forged in Fire. If you really want to know how to win Forged in Fire, start practicing your fundamentals. Practice how to forge weld, practice how to do offsets, how to taper something, how to flatten something, how to draw out material, how to upset material, how to punch material. And for the love of God, learn how to use a drill press and drill material. That is just something that I see people messing up on that show. And I don't even watch the show that often. I only get whatever their little clips are that they throw together and put on YouTube from time to time. Again, seriously, just learn how to use a drill press, a punch, a hammer, a hammer, and things like that. You'll be doing just fine. Trust me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you are making something that is flat and pointy. Remember that. And then you're going to grinding. So it should not take you 3 hours to make something flat and pointy. So when you're practicing at your home forge, you should be practicing making weird objects, whether they're round, square, octagon, rectangular, hexagon, flutagon, doesn't matter. You're making it flat and pointy. So you need to learn how to put a tip on something, and you need to learn how to flatten something into the shape. So it's really not that difficult they show it like it is, but it's really not. In 3 hours to make a blade shape, I could have a blade shape forged and probably ground in 3 hours time. Now, is it finished ground? Is it perfect like you see some of these guys' knives out there? No, I am not a blade maker, 110%. But to take and forge something flat and pointy does not take Roy 3 hours. If it did, I would not be in business. There's no way I could earn myself a living doing that. And my wife and 3 kids here would be awfully thin. It would be awful slim pickings around the Adams household if that was the case. So I'll shut up. Jessica wants to show you guys. I don't know. Do you? You're just looking? Do you need to fire it still or let it go? Okay. All right. She's deciding. So anyways, yeah. Just let everybody know that that's kind of those are my only real angst or gripes on stuff is you see people who've skipped to making katanas and they forget that hey, there is such thing as a process, learning how to do that process. And by the way, during my rant, I missed a $5 super chat from Doe Creek Forge saying more rants. So thank you, Doe Creek Forge. Thank you, everyone. And we do appreciate that. Forgive me for my ranthood, and I'll switch back to somebody important called Jessica.
All right.
I think it's you. I think it's working. I'll monitor it.
Okay. Just trying to, yeah, it's still a little warm. Yeah. I'll wait for just a second on that. Yes, like we mentioned below, if you haven't seen the video yet on the copper tongs, there's a link, I believe, down towards the very bottom, how you can make a set of these. These are not only handy for jewelry making. I mean, these are technically a little heavy, a little heavy duty for what I'm doing. I could have got away with a pair of like copper tweezers or light copper tongs. But these also come in really handy for doing like bowl work. Roy was in here borrowing them the other day just because they're non-marring, and so if you don't have a pair of copper tongs, it's something you might want to consider making for your shop. But anyway, all right, if you want to go to camera 2, Roy, it's cool enough for me to touch. All right, so here is the result, and I think that turned out pretty cool. The colors changed quite a bit. The yellow there, you can definitely see the yellow around the rim, and then you still have the black and orange. So I'd say I think it was a successful attempt at making it look like coals. So I'm happy with this piece. I'm gonna say this one's completed, and and then on the back here, again, there's even more color change from the white that it originally started with. It's now nearly fully changed to this brownish color. And there's a few pits in there, but that's not really going to matter. It's going to be a magnet. So Roy, if you'd like to select someone to be the winner of this, let's go ahead and do that.
Are we going to stamp it with the ironwork stamp? Maybe like
No.
a white?
Nope.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Nope.
The same thing? Okay.
Not with the crackle in there like that. it would cause an issue. You wouldn't see it. Okay.
All right. I think it's working now. I think you're seeing my audio. So I was gonna beat the heck out of this computer if it didn't react. So I really do think it's my calluses. It does not like my calluses
You need a stylus.
on the phone screen. Yeah, I need a stylus. Maybe that'll help. We do this again. I definitely need a stylus because yeah, my calluses is just not picking up my finger presses. So all right. So you guys know how it works. Go ahead and start chatting now for whoever wants that piece as a fridge magnet that Jessica worked on. All you have to do is just comment something down in the chat. You know how it works. We'll do that real quick. And yeah, I'm going to select some person at random. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to scroll. Hopefully I don't break the internet. Scroll it, scroll it, scroll it, scroll it, scroll it. Wherever it goes, where it stops, nobody knows. All right. It was just gonna get better. That is so cool. Been a great evening. Just gonna get better.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Contact us with your email or with your with how we can ship this out to you, no matter where you're out in the world, and we'll send it out to you. So, thank you. Thank you for being part of the stream. Yeah, it's really weird how this thing lands up sometimes, and then people are still commenting. So then I'm like, wait a minute, where did that end?
I
You know,
know.
it doesn't quite pause it. So, yeah, Jessica has one heck of a thing. So, again,
Now you understand.
yeah, now I understand a little bit better what's going on there. So let me go ahead and switch it back over to your mic here. Give me 1 second.
All right. So by the way, time check, Roy.
7:14.
7:14. Okay. We're gonna call it good at those two pieces then, since we.
Do you want to do
ran our
one
full?
more and we'll call it good?
Yeah, I could probably do one more and just do the front side. That'd be a little. I'll pick one that has less layers in it.
Okay. Maybe do another stamp.
Stamped.
That'd be cool.
I was gonna do one of the little anvils.
Okay, do that.
Okay. Roy, if you go over to camera 2. Roy made these little wire anvils for me. And so I'm going to have you guys vote on which one you think should be on the next piece. I think they'll all fit, so it could be any one of them technically. Try not to bend this. Yeah, that one fits. So this will be A, this will be B, and this will be C. So make a vote on which one of these you think should be on here. And Roy will look at the comments and see which ones it looks like has the highest amount of votes.
Which one was A, B, and C?
All right, let me say it one more time. All right, this is A, the little one. This is B, and this is C. So A, B, C. Okay. And while you guys vote, I will get, what color do you think would make a nice backdrop for that, Roy? Should we go for black or go for a wild color?
All right, so we've got a whole lot of Bs coming in. So I think B is probably going to be the winner. Some people are very expressive with their use of Bs. Plenty of BB beings. As far as color goes, I think it would, if we grind the copper a little bit on a black background, that would look pretty sweet. But I also think if you did an orange, if you did like a reddish background or something of that nature, that could also be really neat as well. To do those colors. And somebody said, somebody was saying, Drayson's Forge was saying blue might be nice. So I don't know if you have a blue, but that could be very pretty. So let me switch you over to your mic, and then you can, and I'll go over to Anvil Cam.
All right. I gotta find my matching paper here if I can. I don't think I set it out. I do. This is actually my most favorite color. And it came in the recent batch of enamels I ordered. It's an opaque blue-green, and it's almost a little bit transparent, but it's beautiful. It's kind of like an ocean blue. I can find it. Let's see here. And if I can't, just use one of these other ones at random here. there it is. Okay. Yep, this one is called a green blue. My little sample piece is falling off there. But what I'm gonna do is I think I will fire it all together. We're gonna see if I can pull that off. So I'm gonna lay down a thick layer of this blue-green, and then I'm gonna set the anvil directly onto it. Get it off the edge there. And the powder should hold the enamel, should hold the anvil in place while it fires. But I'm gonna do, this is gonna need to be pretty thick in order to pull off setting this piece in there and getting as much contact as possible. It's possible all sides of the anvil might not make full, full contact, but as long as most of it's in there, it'll settle into the enamel as it melts. That'll be good. I have to adjust this a little bit. If I can do it without digging into the enamel would be good. Let's try that. Alternatively, yeah, I'm digging it in too much. Alternatively, I'm just gonna fire this piece. I'm just gonna go ahead and start over on this one. I will do it the slow way. Sometimes trying to take shortcuts doesn't get you anywhere, does it? I'm gonna put a thick layer of this on, and I'm gonna fire it first, and then I will come back and fire the anvil secondarily. Got my blue-green on there. Yes, go ahead.
Real quick, just wanted to say thank you to Rob Don't Call Me Bob for the $1.99 super chat. And he had commented 10, something 10.00. So 10, I don't know, 10 out of 10 stars. Don't know what that means, but thank you. 10 right back at you. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate the $1.99 super chat. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you all for helping us decide what we're going to do, huh? And are you going to fire that piece, or are you going to continue?
Go ahead and do that while you're talking.
Okay, so you're going to fire that first and then put the anvil on later?
Yes, correct.
Okay, let's see what you do. And I'll get in here and keep talking and commenting. Hopefully that'll work out well. Brian Howman, have a good night. Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for checking us out. I know I might have missed a few other people. Nye Crafts, A Tinker Niche, Ted Musco, been very informative. Thank you, you too. Thank you for being here. If you're still here watching, sometimes people do that in the meanwhiles and stuff. Oh. Again, yeah, so thank you everyone for being here. And earlier somebody said that there was like 50 some odd people, 57, 58 people in the stream. So that's awesome. Thank you guys for taking your time out to join us this Friday. And we do certainly appreciate that. All right, I'll turn it back over to Jessica so I don't take up any more time with Roy rants or things of that nature.
Or two. This is how the blue-green turned out, which this time around it didn't turn out as transparent as my sample, but it's still a really cool color. So I dig it. I'm gonna set that aside for a second while I fill up my. What I'm gonna do on this one is I'm just gonna do a layer of clear that I'm gonna set the anvil into, and that way if I have to scoot it around a little bit, if the clear gets up on there on the anvil, it won't be a problem. It's not gonna cause any issues that way, and it just gives it an extra thick bed of enamel to sink into. So this piece is ready now. Again, I'm just gonna briefly scrape off the scale. Let me set it here where you guys can see. And this part of the process is pretty regular, where you have to clean the metal, especially if you're working on one side for several coats. You kind of just have to keep cleaning it between every firing. And then, the edge doesn't ever get coated with anything, so you can always brush that off also. And then try to keep it off your paper. That's my problem here. Got some scale flecks on there. Okay. So I'm gonna take my blue I'm going to take my clear, sprinkle that up on the blue-green. And the clear I have, they have clear enamel also, but I only have the one clear, which is the crackle clear. So this time around, it might actually cause some of that, the little cell effects to form in this, which will be interesting if we see that. So I'll get my Anvil in there. It tends to bounce a little. I'm going to do it like that, and then we're going to fire this, see how it turns out. So it'll go over on the trivet, and fire away.
Okay, so I really want to take and say thank you to the super chat that just came in. Real quick, we will go up here and say thank you, Doe Creek Forge, for the $2 super chat. How about a Jess rant? And there was a bunch of clappy hands, and a couple other people agreed that there needs to be a Jessica rant. So what could you possibly rant about? The state of Roy. Living with the monster. All secrets revealed. Well, you think about what you want to rant about, because I don't think these people are going to let you off the hook. So I don't know. I think if you greased her palms just a bit more with a few more super chats, she might rant about something. Who knows? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm digging. I'm stretching there. So go ahead and fire that, Jess. And I'll just talk a little bit more. So, yeah. So thank you guys for being here. Veteran Iron and Wood, hello. Good to have you in the stream, sir. Glad to have you here. Thank you. Thank you to all of the moderators who showed up. Thank you, Uncle Buck's Forge, for being here. Aaron Dennis, again, you too, Drayson's Forge. I'm really glad to see all of the old faces in here that support us on the regular. Really can't thank you all enough for showing up. Jessica and I really do appreciate it. So hopefully this has been a good stream. Yeah, Tommy Wright said, and hello, Tommy Wright, good to have you here. He said, you can rant about Roy messing up the audio. Yeah, she could do that. Jada Bowl Customs said, rant about Roy's borax habit. Roy doesn't have a borax habit. Roy doesn't have a borax habit. Let's just say that. So, well, while that cools there for a second, as Jessica's letting that do its thing, I'll also kind of mention a little bit, a real quick tip for all of you out there that might be struggling with, say, forge welding. I had something come up here just recently, working on a wrought iron hammer with steel faces, working on roughly about a 3-pound hammer that I've been working on. It's going to be less than a 3-pound hammer, but the billet started off as 3 pounds. So the forge that I have is a bottom blast. So it blasts the air up from the bottom, and it takes, so the air comes up through the bottom of the fire pot. And when trying to forge weld with coke, I'm trying to forge weld with coke now, I was finding that the air was getting cut off because of the weight of the billet sitting on the fire was actually blocking off a lot of my air for the blower that was coming through. So some of the options there is I could take an up the blower amount, or I could either up the amount of airflow, which is bad and inconducive to forge welding, or I need to change the style of my forge in order to handle that amount of steel in the forge. Now, I've got a gas forge that can achieve welding heats, but I didn't want to go gas forge. I just don't like doing it, and it can't achieve enough welding heat to do proper welding work on wrought iron. It can get at the low end of wrought iron's welding heat, just not up at the upper end. And by the time it got to the temperature, I would have to take in, basically, I would end up losing most of the material on it. So there will be a forge when I build my new coal forge or my new coke forge, big brick hearth. It's actually going to be a side blast where the air comes in the bottom, so the weight of the billet does not have any effect on it. And then before we go on and do any more here, I just want to acknowledge the super chats that just came in. Thank you all so much. Jeremy Harrison for a $10 super chat. He said all about all about the rants. Y'all are awesome. So thank you, Jeremy Harrison. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for showing the love with the clappy hands. Uncle Bucks Forge with a $10 super chat said, I don't believe Jess has it in her to rant. ... question mark. Oh, I don't know what I did. Don't do that. Okay. About to screw it up there, guys. And then Doe Creek Forge come in with another $2 super set, said rant, 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 LOL. So yeah, people are greasing the wheels on this one. So you're gonna have to come up with a rant here. So oh, she's got a topic, ladies and gentlemen. Here it goes. I think we should milk it for a little bit more money, but hey, whatever, you know, why not? Let me go ahead and shut up and send it your way.
Okay, go ahead. All right, I got the floor, I guess. I was firing that piece. I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea what I would rant on. But I guess kind of the topic I decided that I came up with was starting where you are. And this one's kind of preaching to myself a little bit too, or ranting at myself, if you want to call it that. But so often, I think just so many of us kind of get used to where we're at, and we think, well, we can't progress any further. I can't get any further along in what I'm doing, whether it's blacksmithing, whether it's photography, whether it's enameling, until I have new supplies, you know. Oh, I really need to get X, Y, Z to get any better at my given hobby, or, you know, the thing that you really enjoy doing. And so you stop progressing, and you think there's nothing there that you can get better at, but there is, even without getting the extra gear, without getting the extra colors of enamel or the extra blanks or the things like that. You know, there is steps that you can take to progress forward and to keep learning new things and just experimenting with what you have. You know, I kind of covered this a bit in the ebook as well. Like, you know, you don't have to have like $1,000 worth of camera gear in order to start taking better photos. Like, you can start with what you've got right now, and you can just improve. You can improve your lighting just by, you know, taking photos next to a window. You can improve the backgrounds, just kind of like looking around your house, like, you know, oh, what would make a nice background, or what would make a nice prop that ties in. You know, the same thing out here. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, I've got all this other supplies I want to purchase, and it's my items sell so slowly, and it'd be great if I could, you know, buy a kiln today. And I'm saving up for a kiln right now. But no, instead I choose to look at it that, you know, yeah, I've got limited supplies right now, but I have more than enough to do quite a variety of stuff. Like, you know, even if I didn't buy in any more blanks, I've got, you know, enough for probably a couple of months. I try to do about 10 pieces a week. So, you know, I've got a couple of months worth there. And I've got like this giant sheet down here on the end that I could make all my own blanks out of also. And so, like I said, that really applies to no matter what your given skill is. You can always keep progressing and always keep learning, and just make that a point to do it, even if you can't buy in anything extra right now to go where you'd like to go. Just keep learning, keep getting more knowledge. So, Jessica rant.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Jessica. That was the most neutered rant ever on the face of this planet. I love you so much. There's almost not a malice bone in her body. So you guys will just have to put up with me. Ain't she sweet? Anyway, so I want to say goodbye to a few people. Dana Maggiore, thank you for being here. Thank you for being such a great supporter of the stream. God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. Have fun out there. I believe, I don't know if the Bachmaker are leaving too, but anyways, anybody who's taken off while Jessica was ranting, thank you so much. Metalman, $10 for the kiln fund. Thank you, sir. You are greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciate that. Everyone give him a hand clap. Everyone give some thumbs up for Jessica's rant if she thinks she did all right. So she's got some big shoes to follow in when it comes to me. So do we want to take them back over to where you're at, and then they can watch what you're doing? Okay. All right. Let me Let me turn off my mic so we're not echoing here.
Okay, I was just brushing off the scale a little bit here with a scouring pad, but I'm going to show you guys how this turned out, and I think it turned out super awesome. The color, the second firing around, if you'll remember the first time, it was pretty opaque. The second time around, it really became transparent. So like, if this had been like hammer textured or something, that would be really neat to be able to see extra texture underneath the piece. The anvil itself looks like it's pretty well adhered. It sunk down really good. There's one area I could say could have been improved a little bit, and that's where there's a little bit of an overlap here. If I had had that where it just fully butted up to this end, that would have been a little nicer. It would have been fully set down into the enamel instead of having, you know, one little area stick up a little bit. But basically, I'm happy with the result. It turned out really cool. The crackle did end up giving it a little bit of those cells and that variation. So it's a little more...
You should sand the anvil off a little bit.
Yeah, I should do that. Let me see. I got some sanding paper here. It's kind of a neat effect right now, but... And if I, sandpaper can scuff up the surface of the glass. If I do that too much, I can always refire it if I have to. But I don't think that'll be necessary. The wire's protruded enough. Yeah, that really brightens it up, doesn't it? There. Yeah, so that brings out the copper design even more contrast. So, yes. So yeah, now we have a third magnet to give to a lucky winner. So, are we still on camera too? Okay, you switched away. It's all right.
Now we're on.
Okay. Okay, I was just gonna show, since this was our last piece, I was just gonna go ahead and show them off all together real quick. So this was the first piece we did with a rubber stamp. This was the second piece we did with 4 layers of, is that 4? No, 5 layers, including the extra yellow, to create the crackle effect. And then this was the third piece we made, using inlaying some copper wire, or melting the copper wire in, to create a design. Okay.
I think it works now. Dag. Can you hear me now? Jessica said, thank you. There you go. Man, gee whiz, this thing tonight. Hopefully it quits doing what it's doing. Hopefully you all can hear me all right. All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me? Is my mic good now? Just say yep, or yeppers, or me, or I got it. So, yeah. Yeah, this thing literally, I was not touching it and it jumped. And I think it's because notifications are coming through and it's jacking with it. I think that's it. Because every time it goes through, it switches and it does weird stuff on me over here. So, all right. Everybody can hear me loud and clear now. All right. So, we're going to go ahead and give away, hold that up to the Anvil cam, Jess. I'm going to switch scenes. Hopefully it'll switch scenes. I don't know if it's going to switch scenes. Let's try it. Come on now. There we are. So you guys know how it works. Go ahead and just drop your comment in the comment section here. I'm going to scroll at random and pick somebody wherever my pointer finger lands on. And that is who's going to win this lovely fridge magnet that Jessica just fired. So I'll go back to the main cam. So you guys can see me scrolly. Go ahead and start commenting. If you want one, if you want it, spam it. Do whatever you got to do. Say me, yo, you, whatever you want to do. All right. Just keep it PG and appropriate for the stream. All right. Let me just roll at random. Let's just find one person. And we're going to stop. And we stopped on Debaka Maker.
Awesome.
We are all saying yep. Thank you, Debaka Maker, for being part of the stream. Get in touch with us, and we will send you that beautiful little fridge magnet. Hold those up there again, Jessica. And I just want to thank again everyone who stopped out in the stream, everyone who's given us such love. We do appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who super chatted in this stream. That has been awesome. Thank you for showing your support for Jessica and what she does. That has been absolutely awesome. So thank you guys so much for that. We're back at the main screen, and I'll let Jessica. I just switched it just then,
Okay.
and I'll let Jessica take and lead us out. But my personal thanks to you all. Thank you guys for being here and sticking with us during the cold weather. You've warmed our hearts and warmed our souls. Bring on the cheese. There it is.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed my Jessica rant, as unranty as it may have been. And yeah, thank you all for joining us this evening. Even though this wasn't originally one of our scheduled January live streams, and it was just kind of like a bonus live stream, and you know, it's a little off topic. No forging involved per se, but still heat, right? We had a torch. So yeah, thank you for checking out. This has kind of been my hobby for the last year. I found this to be easier to do versus blacksmithing. I've done a little bit of blacksmithing before, but with like a limited like 2 hours, maybe once a week kind of thing. It's hard to get very much done in blacksmithing in just 2 hours when you have to, you know, especially if you're doing everything from scratch, like starting up your fire and all that stuff. So this has kind of become my hobby for now, and it's something where I can get more done and enjoy it, and Roy watches the kids and I have some quiet time. So we thank you all for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed this evening with us. And next week we'll be back to regular scheduled programming. Next week will be a forging live stream. And if you are unfamiliar with when our schedule will be, you can always go to our website, blacksmithpdfs.com, and under the upcoming events, I do list the next several live streams and their links as well. So you can go ahead and set your notifications on your calendar or whatever you got to do to remind yourself to join us. But once again, thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.